Hi, this is Adam from Wax Pack Gods. Hope you're doing well tonight. So, my family left me here alone at home, and as often happens when that's the case, I ended up rooting through a closet. So, I found a couple of old friends for Halloween. They'll keep us company tonight, and I found a box of baseball cards. So, here's the top of it, and you can see it says good singles, and it has all the hologram bling team stickers on the front. So you know this is good stuff. Now, judging by the fact that this is my handwriting and I can see what's in the box here, pretty sure last time I touched this was about the last time I was doing card shows, which would have been in probably the late 1990s, before we started a family. You can see some of the big names laid out here. Cards separated by name. Frank Robinson, Pete Rose, Jackie Robinson, the inimitable Robb Nen, Pete Harnish. What was hotter than a Pete Harnish baseball card in 1999? The late Tony Gwynn, Ken Griffey. Could be senior or junior, who knows. Willie Green. So I think we'll stop with Willie Green. But what I thought might be interesting would be to walk through a few of these cards and just to see kind of what I had in whatever display I had set up at local card shows at the time. I think I was living in Dayton, Ohio. So let's see. Okay, I've got some Andy Vance like gems. So here's an Andy Vance like 1984 Donruss rookie card that I only wanted $6 for. You could have his Fleer rookie for the bargain price of $3. Dave Righetti rookie. Jim Abbott rookie. Cecil Fielder and Corey Snyder. $18. What a deal. Mark Langston for $1.50. And the Donruss Langston rookie for $3. So if you're interested in any of those cards, you know how to get in contact with me. Just kidding. But I did find one pretty interesting oddball set that I thought might be worth a look, and something I'd kind of forgotten I had in here, especially. This is a 1982 Topps Coca-Cola set of Cincinnati Reds players. Now, I started following the Reds very loosely at the very end of 1982, but I really picked them up in 1983, and that's really when I started following baseball in general. So as we go through these cards, you're going to see plenty of guys who were sort of foundational to my fandom, for better or for worse. So you see it had a nice header card, very topsy on it, and the card backs are red instead of the usual green for the 1982 Topps cards, except for the header card, which is kind of a blue. Okay, so let's see who we got here. The header. Mike Vail, an outfielder. I don't remember him tremendously. I do kind of remember him. Alex Trevino, one of the first catchers that I knew about. So these 1982 Reds, they lost something like 300 games. So it was ugly. The Orioles of 2018 didn't have much on these Reds. But the Reds did have Mario Soto. And so in 1981, which was the strike year, Mario went 12-9 with 10 complete games and 3 shutouts and a 3.29 ERA. Not too shabby. He was one of the players that made the Reds bearable back in those days. Tom Seaver, Tom Terrific, of course, was another. He wouldn't be with the Reds very long after this point, heading back to the New York Mets, and then bouncing around to finish out his career. Joe Price, another one of the pitchers I heard about quite a bit, didn't see a ton. Frank Pastore is kind of the poster boy for some of the Reds' frustrations. He'd done pretty well in the early part of his career. I see ERAs here of not so great, but in the 4s. He got much worse after that. Now this guy, Ron Oster, was definitely one of my favorites throughout the 80s. He was the second baseman for the Reds, and I always kind of held out hope here in the last 10 or 15 years that he would get the manager's position for the Reds, just because it's a familiar face, and they're not going to win anyway. They're the Reds. Michael Berry, another catcher. Great name. I don't really remember him beyond the baseball cards. Charlie Leibrandt, who went on to have a pretty good career, good run with the Kansas City Royals in particular. Rafael Landestoy, do not remember him playing, but always loved his name. Wayne Krenchicki, another great name. Another guy who just didn't do much for the Reds. So I see here he had come over from the Orioles, for whom he played in 79, 80, and 81, and he had a lifetime batting average of 198. Here's Jim Kern. Oops, sorry. This was after he'd had his big run with the Indians and Rangers in the 70s. He was kind of nearing the end of the line here with the Reds. Clint Hurdle, who went on to be a major league manager. Tom Hume, probably my favorite pitcher from the Reds during this time, even more so than Mario Soto. And in fact, when I was a kid and I was pretending to be a pitcher, it would be Tom Hume. I was convinced he was the greatest. Paul Householder was not a household name, but he was one of the guys we had. Greg Harris was another Reds pitcher. Dan Driessen was an all-time favorite of mine. He was the first guy that I really saw play or practice live. I remember my dad and I sitting in the stands at Riverfront before the first game that we saw in 1984, and Driessen was taking fielding practice, and the pop of the ball in his glove and how easily he tossed the ball across the diamond just blew our socks off, both of us. My dad's not a baseball fan, but both of us became Driessen fans that day. Of course, Davey Concepcion, the great shortstop from the Big Red Machine days. Cesar Cedeno, who always looked like one of the happiest men in the game. He's not really smiling here, but you can still see his teeth. His 1983 Donruss card is one of my favorites of all time. Then Larry Bittner, who doubles up all the letters in his name, and as you can see by this microphone, had designs on a game show or talk show career. I don't know if he really did, but that's the way I played it. Bruce Perini, another storied Reds pitcher from the early 1980s. He could give up runs to anybody. And then finally, the greatest catcher of all time, Johnny Bench, looking a little like Peyton Manning or maybe some sort of baseball demon. I don't know. It's kind of definitely a devilish smile he's got on his face. So anyway, it's a pretty nice little card set that I forgot I had. Glad I found it, and thought you might want to see it. So thanks for sticking around and watching. Subscribe to the channel if you like what you saw. Be sure to check us out at waxpackgods.com and follow us on Twitter at waxpackgods. And on Facebook, we're also Wax Pack Gods. Thanks a lot.